Woke liberal David Pakman gets grilled by two conservatives live about a simple question. What is a woman? By the way, thank you so much for watching Bring the Asteroid. Make sure you like today's video, subscribe to this channel, subscribe to my personal channel, linked in the description below, and let's get into it.
United States, but is number one is immigration. Number two is race relations and all the stuff to do with BLM and all of that. And number three, as of late, these sort of big toxic issues is, of course, the trans issue.
Okay, so sure, those are three issues, yes.
Yeah, yeah, I was going somewhere with that. I just wanted to get confirmation that
those are issues that exist, absolutely.
Those
yes.
are issues that exist. And what I am asserting to you is there are quite a lot of people, certainly here in the UK, and I know that in America it's the same in some circles, that feel very strongly about those issues, and they feel that the mainstream conversation about those issues is dishonest. So if we start in reverse order with the trans thing, can I, it's a dick move to ask you this, but can I ask you to define a woman? Is that okay?
Yeah, so listen, I mean, I did a whole thing with this right-wing guy named Michael Knowles a little while ago.
Okay.
Where, you know, we were talking about the definition of a woman, and the context was the Ketanji Brown Jackson hearings and her refusal to answer. And there I argued that makes perfect sense because they're asking in a legal context. The question is who can bring a discrimination lawsuit on the basis of gender. And I thought she was right not to answer it. And I made the point that depending on where you're asking the question, the answer could actually be different. Now, I'm glad to give my view of this socially, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah, of course. Go
so
for it.
this is, again, and the problem with this, and I know you guys would never do this because you seem so honest. The problem is that sometimes this question is then used to put someone in a corner. So I will say in advance that the definition I have will not work in every setting, okay? Like, for example, the definition I have in an OBGYN's office may not work because we recognize biological differences, right? But for me, the broadest way where I think about who am I going to relate to as a woman, it would be somebody who I identify as deliberately trying to exist in the world as a woman. And so if I see a biological man who, and again, we have to talk about this in candid ways, which some people might not like, but I think it's necessary. If I see me with a wig on, it's not going to be apparent to me that that's someone who is necessarily trying to exist in the world as a woman if they go by the name David and their voice is like mine and they dress like me. So I'm just going to make the best faith effort I can where if it's indicated through a number of different cues that someone is trying to exist in the world as a woman, I'll relate to them as a woman. That's fine. It just doesn't bother me.
Oh, sure. And in fact, I am kind of where you are in the sense that we've had a shit ton of trans people on the show and we call them
Cringe.
by whatever name they have.
Nice.
And the pronouns that they've chosen.
Just kidding, YouTube. I love this. Please don't ban this.
Right? I've got no issue with that. Sure. However, my issue is that and again, this is me being straight with you. I hope you don't take offense to what I'm saying.
Please.
In your refusal to give a definition that is equally applicable in different circumstances, you're kind of avoiding the difficult elements of this, right?
Well, the difficult elements are exactly that, which okay, sorry, I interrupted.
I know you know where I'm going, but let me just give the example so people know what we're talking about. So we have a number of cases here in the UK, for example, and I know you've had some in the US as well, where a trans woman who still has a male anatomy has been housed in a female prison and has gone on to commit sexual assault against women in prison, right? Okay. We obviously have had trans women in female sports where they, in my opinion, have an unfair advantage. And there are other situations in which our failure to give a clear, like, universal definition means that women in particular, in this very instance, are suffering the consequences of our social unwillingness to be quite hardline about it. Would you agree with that?
Well, that's what in a in a court, they would say that that's a compound question, and we've really got to break down each of those, because whether I agree with
Are you in court right now, David Pakman? I don't know why I have an accent, but are you in court now? I've been watching too much Vanderpump Rules anyways.
everything you said, I don't know. So let's I'm not even sure where to start. So okay, I mean, in prison there was a sexual assault by a biological male housed with women. Okay, I don't know the story. We have a country of 331 million in the United States, so you can find examples sort of everything. Sexual assault by biological females of other females in American prisons is really common. So for me, what I go to is less about, you know, trans people, I think, are 1/3 of 1% of the population in the US. I may be slightly off about that, but let's use that as a working number. For me, every assault is bad.
Sure.
And the bigger issue is American prisons are terrible at keeping inmates safe. And I apply that to men's prisons and women's prisons.
David, sure, but you're deflecting here, aren't you?
I don't. Well, but no, I don't think. And so, but
Yes, you are, David Pakman. Yes, you are.
let me go further.
Let me give you
further.
the reverse of your argument, right?
No, but I
cops,
wasn't even done.
Cops
though,
shooting black people is bad, but the real problem is something else, and we shouldn't talk about the cops shooting black people.
No,
that's
no,
kind of
no,
what it
that's
sounds
not
like.
the argument I'm making whatsoever.
Okay, sure, go ahead. Sorry.
So the point that I'm making is, no, because what you're saying is, I guess it depends on what you say the other issue really is. You didn't get to the end of that, and so I don't
black
know
on black
whether
crime. That's the right-wing argument. Black on black crime is the real thing. Forget about cops shooting black people.
Right,
it's
but
all
those
about
are
black people
totally
shooting each
different
other.
things. What I'm saying is violence in prison is a major problem, and I don't deny that an added layer of complexity is in which prison should a trans person be. I don't pretend to have the answer in all cases. I don't pretend to have the answer. I'm conceding it's very complicated. But
is it complicated? If you have a penis, should you be in a female prison?
Well, but not everybody who's a trans woman has a penis.
But these people did, and they were in female prisons, both in your country and in ours.
I just don't know the case. I don't know. I don't know the answer.
Should a person with a penis, though, be in a female prison?
I would have to know more about how these decisions are being made. I don't know enough about how the decisions are made to be able to say. Listen, let me put it a different way. And I don't know if anecdotes, we're both being so anecdotal that I don't know if this is even useful, but there are many instances where I could show you a picture of someone and describe their height and weight to you, and it would be very hard to argue that they should be in a men's prison for their own safety.
I'm not arguing for that. We've had trans people on the show who say we need to make provisions so that trans people are in a separate facility where they're going to be safe from males who otherwise would potentially be a danger to them, right?
So trans people, there's like a third prison for trans people.
That's what some people have argued on our shows. I'm not saying you take someone who identifies as a trans woman and you stick them with men, because I don't think it would end well for them. So I don't lack compassion. What I'm trying to get at with you is, do you envisage circumstances under which it is right to put a person with a penis in a female prison?
I can envisage theoretical circumstances where it's the best of the options that are available. Yeah, I mean, right now there are no third prisons for trans people, and so if you say to me, what is more like? I mean, like, listen, let's just be very upfront. If you have a trans woman that is biologically male and has a penis, but is slight in size and has a very feminine appearance, by all statistical likelihood, they are far less likely to assault someone in a women's prison than they are to be assaulted in a men's prison. And so that's a particular case.
I have to cut him off. I mean, do you hear the lies he is spewing? We have to cut him off. Comment MAGA if you agree. Thanks for watching Bring the Asteroid.